my name is Jaan from Phenomenal Bunch.
And I'm Shaan.
And we've been playing superhero games for a very long time now, but most of them seem to be dominated by Batman or Spider-Man. However, there's a certain man without fear that we think would be perfect for a video game.
And that man is none other than Daredevil. I think a Daredevil game would be freaking fantastic if done right. From the story, from the combat, from the gameplay, we have everything mapped out.
And as always, you guys, please make sure to leave a like on this video, comment your feedback, anything like that. And of course, subscribe just if you guys want to see more. And on the plus side for this video, since it's a special project we worked on, we want you guys to share this with people, share this with comic tubers, game devs, voice actors, anything you guys can.
And without further ado, let's get right into it.
Matt Murdock has been Daredevil for a little over 2 years. He struggles with keeping the city safe as a lawyer during the day with Foggy Nelson and Karen Page and a masked vigilante at night. Daredevil notices that crime is skyrocketing to new heights. The first couple of missions will include Daredevil taking on a group of thugs that call themselves the Yancey Street Gang. After dealing with them, Daredevil finds very cryptic messages all throughout Hell's Kitchen. The people that he interrogates, the kidnapped victims that he talks to, and the clues that he finds all talk of a clan of ninjas called the Hand. With this knowledge, Daredevil finally confronts the Hand, and this is where things go awry. Throughout the game, he learns that he is very outnumbered, and that there are many closet members of the Hand as well that are aiding them in their quest. With the Hand taking over his beloved city and harming innocent people, Daredevil is backed into a corner and has to fight like he's never fought before.
Before we begin talking about things like stealth and combat, we will be referring to our button map with the PS5 controller. We are going to start with the biggest aspect of Daredevil. We think Heightened Senses should be just as, if not more important to this game than Detective Mode is to the Batman Arkham games. The game won't exclusively stay in this mode, but it can be toggled on and off by hitting the right stick. When the heightened senses are turned on, the world basically becomes the red and white radial pattern we are used to seeing. This gives the player an advantage in combat and stealth. Players should be able to see things like which weapons enemies are holding, which areas contain items needed for progression, and there could even be some cool interrogation sections in the game where players will need to toggle on the heightened senses to see if the enemy is lying or not. Basically, the heightened senses make the game more audible and in some ways more clear. You should be able to hear enemy conversation from far away, and even their heartbeats if you're close enough. These little things will help the player strategize in combat sections. Speaking of, let's talk about our ideas for the combat. With the popularity of Netflix Daredevil's hallway scenes, people will obviously expect a hard-hitting and brutal combat system. The combat system we have thought about is a combination of the Batman Arkham series and Spider-Man PS4, with a couple of our own ideas mixed in there. Daredevil is not only going to be fighting crime families like the Magia or low-level thugs like the Yancey Street Gang, he will take on the Hand as well. If you take a look at our button map, Daredevil will need to use a mixture of light and heavy attacks to take on different types of enemies. He won't just be using his fists and boots though, he will be using his iconic billy clubs to help even the odds. It can be toggled by either aiming and then throwing, or they can be toggled by holding R1 and pressing a face button for a quick fire or special attack. Also known as the dodge system, the player will need to dodge and use other combat buttons to get strikes in on certain enemies. Not exactly like Spider-Man PS4 you flip out of the way, but more so a system where the type of dodge changes depending on the direction the player moves the left thumbstick. If you move the left thumbstick towards the enemy while pressing circle, you will do a counter move, which may be helpful against unarmed enemies. If you move the thumbstick away from the enemy, Daredevil will quick step out of the way. This might be used for enemies like the Hand carrying swords. Double tapping the dodge button will make Daredevil do a combat roll, which can be useful when met with gunfire. Some enemies might require a dodge to begin combos, and some might require hits with the billy club to stun them before beginning a combo. There is so much potential here for hardcore players to create crazy combos, and this combat system will also challenge casual players in a fun way, forcing them to hit more than just square. This will create a game that is quite difficult but not impossible to master.
Although most sections of the game should allow the player to choose their approach, there might be areas with too much firepower, requiring the player to take to the shadows. The player will be using their billy clubs, the cover mechanic, and the grab button in stealth. Billy clubs can be used like boomerangs, similar to Batman Arkham's batarangs, to knock out enemies or cause distractions, or they can even be used to latch onto things or enemies and pull them in certain directions. Switching between the two billy club styles will be done through the D-pad. They might also need to use the billy clubs to swing around to get to the high ground on enemies or look for new cover. As for the grab button, players will press and hold triangle to grab an enemy, and they can drag the enemy around after knocking them out, a feature that was painfully missing from the Arkham franchise. The player can use heightened senses to get a better look at their surroundings and plan their attack accordingly. Now let's talk about Traversal.
Traversal was a difficult part of this pitch because quite frankly Daredevil doesn't have a Batmobile to drive or a cape to glide with. He has his billy clubs, but Daredevil is not Spider-Man. We have opted for a free-run parkour system akin to Assassin's Creed Unity. The billy clubs will act as grapple hooks that will help Daredevil swing across larger gaps. And obviously Daredevil will require a fast travel system. He should be able to fast travel to Foggy and Mac's law firm, the Catholic Church, and more fast travel locations will be unlocked as the player progresses through the game. The only big issue is the fact that pedestrians will be walking around the streets. Daredevil is not Spider-Man, Captain America, or any other friendly hero, so although the game is free roam, there are certain areas in the map where the player needs to be more careful and take the higher ground. Some areas will be more welcoming to a man dressed as the devil, while some areas will call the police and give you a short amount of time to run away. Having a living, breathing city makes Traversal way more fun than something like Arkham Knight, which is mostly empty. To strengthen the Traversal system, only a section of New York will be available to the player to free roam in. Starting off with just Hell's Kitchen, the map will grow as the story progresses. Ideally, once the player beats the game, they can go back and free roam anywhere around the map at will to do leftover activities. Overall, the Traversal should feel fluid and fast, but with obstacles the players can have fun finding solutions to.
You shouldn't have to spend too much time out of the Daredevil costume, but there should definitely be at least a few sections of the game where you play as Matt Murdock. When you are playing story missions as Daredevil, there will be certain portions of usable evidence you will have to find, whether it be audio tapes, classified files, and more. These will help you when playing as Matt Murdock. When you are actually playing as Matt Murdock, the heightened senses carry over in court cases. This will mean the player will have to use them to make sure the facts of the case are presented properly, and there should be some kind of LA Noire style choice system to create even more tension in these cases. Players will then need to use what they have found in story missions to defend their client. Although there shouldn't be several Matt Murdock sections in this game, they should be meaningful and impactful.
Side missions should be varied and interesting. Although the main story will probably include heavy hitters like Bullseye and members of the Hand, side missions are where we can have some lesser known Daredevil villains get a chance to shine. Maybe some side missions will have you take down villains like the Owl. There could even be some fun ones like an encounter with Stiltman. Additionally, he can borrow some villains from other heroes to make the world feel more realized. For example, an encounter with Scorpion could be fun. Furthermore, there should be active crimes, but keep it closer to Batman Arkham and less so Spider-Man PS4. Daredevil won't be jumping on cars and stopping thugs that way. However, following tracks of a suspicious vehicle to a hideout using his heightened senses is the better way to do it. Furthermore, every superhero game should include combat challenges, bases, allow the player to replay missions, and a new game plus. Also, a good superhero game is made better by adding alternate costumes that can be unlocked by playing side missions or progressing through the story. We would personally love to see Daredevil's classic yellow-red suit and his all-black costume, and even some random ones like the Punisher vest Daredevil from Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil run, and a Matt Murdock I'm Not Daredevil suit. Side missions and bonus content should keep the player invested to create replay value.
You guys were probably waiting for us to talk about this, but don't worry, we are. If a Daredevil game comes into fruition without accessibility features, that would quite honestly suck. We are no experts or anything, but The Last of Us 2 pretty much nailed these features, making it so more people can play. Basically, things like audio cues for traversal and high contrast or color-coded game models are just a few of several accessibility features that should be available in the game. Making it so as many people as possible can play the game is something game devs should strive for.
And that was our pitch for a Daredevil game. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Let us know if you guys have any feedback in the comments below.
We worked really hard on this. It took us a few days to even come up with an idea, putting together a button map, all that stuff. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. In the comment section, leave what you guys like to see in the Daredevil game if you didn't talk about something you guys want to see.
Stay safe, guys. Thank you for being with us throughout this crazy year, and hope to see you guys next year. Thank you.
See you guys.